1. I am so sorry. Of all people for this to happen to, the one person that atheists are not. We're not supposed to have idol. There's not supposed to be any idol worship. We're not supposed to have hero worship. But of all the people this were to have to happen to, it's you. God damn it. Anyway, I throw myself at your feet and I ask that you just repeat the last 20 minutes.
Okay, so one thing that I mentioned before we had that horrible, weird crashing incident is that I'm not going to be looking at the chat. I did not type anything as a courtesy when Steve was on. I hope he'll give me the same, but I don't think he will. If he's true to his MO, he's going to be talking shit the whole time, and I think that'll be distracting. So I don't want to go there. I'm not going to look. So anyway, if you don't know the incident, there has been, I made a video because I needed to vent about something that Steve had done, and it's kind of caused some controversy. Now, here's the thing that Steve has been saying, that it comes from a certain incident that it did not. He's actually got his timeline and my motivations completely wrong, right? So what had happened was about a week or two, there was a hangout, and I can't find it. I don't know which channel it's on. And even if I found which channel it was on, and these things are freaking long, like 2 hours long. So it'd be really hard to find this specific incident. But what had happened is we were talking about the definition of atheism, and we disagree on that quite heavily. Like, he thinks that atheism has to be a proposition, that there is no God, and we back it up with this, that, and the other thing. But
I'm sorry. Let me pause button real quick. Let me just jump in right there. I've had the exact same discussion with Steve. It took 3 hours and we came to no resolution. But I will say in both our defense, it ended with a handshake and it just said, "Hey, we agree to disagree." All right, so go ahead. Keep going.
Kind of not prepared to do that, simply because I think that this is actually quite fundamental to the conversation. Right? Because I think that what we call it and how we think of it matters a lot to how we classify it. Because that's what I was trying to do. I was doing a kind of religious or philosophical taxonomy, right? Where I look at the trait that something has and then draw a Venn diagram of those that have it and those that don't. And in this case, the trait was God belief, right? Anything that doesn't have God belief is an atheist. Anything that does is a theist. Right? So basically we have all the God believers in the theist circle, and then we have the entire rest of the universe, right? So it doesn't matter what I'm looking at. We just look at a subject. It could be you, it could be me, it could be my cat, it could be this awesome Tron figurine, right? Or like this wrist support or my remote. It doesn't matter. It's just, we look at something and we say, does this believe in at least one God? And if the answer is yes, it's a theist. If the Answer is no, it's an atheist without theism, right? Now, the thing is that Steve wanted to say that that's a non-theist, but non and theism, that's mixing Greek and Latin, right? It's not using both for the same word.
Non and a.
Right. Those are those prefixes mean exactly the same thing. Right? So it seemed to me that we have a big old circle of atheists. And then within that, we have like inanimate objects. We have those who've considered the proposition, those who are alive but haven't, those that are alive that can't, et cetera, because so many people want one word to do so much heavy lifting without all these adjectives. Right? We can have strong atheists, weak atheists, explicit atheists, implicit atheists, all of that, because then we actually start, like I said, with the Venn diagram, we start classifying stuff. I mean, I consider myself an agnostic apistivist atheist because agnosticism, lacking information, apistivist, not using faith to come to conclusions, and therefore having no God belief because of those other two. That's how I would classify myself. Now, for some reason, Steve takes exception to this. I think it's because if you look in some philosophical textbooks, it classifies it the way he likes to, but I don't think those accurately represent the world. I just don't. Right. So
I'm sorry. I'm just going to pause in again. I know you're on a stream of content. Do you want me to keep pausing or I can save them all for the end?
If you got something to say.
Okay.
Say
yeah.
it.
Okay. He refers to the philosophical definition. and this is where we ran into a little snag, because I was at the time I was thinking, okay, common parlance should prevail. Whatever the majority, I kept saying 51% of the population says the definition is this. If we want to call this a widget, then this beer bottle becomes a widget instead of a beer bottle. And I've kind of since backtracked from that idea, and I've been reading a lot since then, and it looks like dictionaries are not authoritative. What do you think about that? Dictionaries in and of themselves, are they the ultimate authority we should refer to?
Well, no, because what I've found with dictionaries is that they tend to simplify everything. They lack some necessary nuance. But if you look on something like Wikipedia, which I know some people are going to go, Wikipedia. But the thing is, it does say that in the broadest form, atheism is lacking the belief in a God. And then it narrows it down to like the way I did with that Venn diagram.
Okay,
right?
I'm only going to jump in one more time. This is where I had already planned in this show to come a little bit to your defense and say that in the broadest possible context, the loosest context of atheism, yes, rocks and babies can be atheists, and atheist means lack of God, free from a belief in God in the loosest context. But okay, that's the loosest context. But if we define it as we're using it now, I think it has to be an agent capable of knowing what atheism is to make the decision to at least be an atheist. I'm not saying a strong atheist. I'm a weak atheist, but at least I'm an intelligent agent that can make the decision to say that I have a lack of belief. And that would exclude rocks, babies, and anything else on earth.
That's where I completely disagree 100%.
But you're using a very loose definition, and both of you are kind of right. It depends on how loose or how tight or how narrow you want to get that definition.
Well, what I want to do is get an accurate definition. I mean, one of the things Steve has said to me is that it makes the definition useless if it's broad like that, like the way I've been using it. And I'm like, how is it useless? We're looking at 1 and 0. It's a Boolean set. Has God belief, doesn't have God belief. The reason why it doesn't have God belief doesn't enter into it at all, right? It's just has it, doesn't. I mean, it seems like the simplest thing in the world. And then you get into that Venn diagram where you have the more specific definitions, which includes, like you say, the agents that are capable, right?
Yes.
So, but it just seems to me that it's not useless in any way. Now, we had that rather vehement disagreement about it, and it's one of those things where the next day I think of something I should have said or some way I should have phrased it, and it's like, God damn it, fuck, right? So then a little while after that, there's this other hangout. And I'm in the chat this time. I'm watching it, and he's doing to someone else exactly what he did to me, right? Where he's saying, no, that what you're talking about is non-theism, and like that's not it. And I was like, hey, I know what's going on here. I could fix this. I could referee this. I can point out to them that they're just simply not talking about the same thing, that they're talking past each other. But I don't know if he just wasn't looking or if he was just ignoring me or what, but he didn't mention me in the chat. And then people were saying, hey, let Kate in, let Kate in. He was like, no, not going to happen. That's when he started saying, I have all kinds of respect for Kate as a person, which frankly, I don't believe, but she doesn't like do philosophical conversations well. And so she drags the conversation down. So no. And I'm like, that sounds like damning with faint praise. That sounds kind of like being a dick. That's like, oh, you're so cute, right?
I got to jump in again.
All right.
Okay. I'm going to do a screen share. Well, first I'm going to say that you're right, but you're right in some senses. Let me just do my quick screen share real quick.
All right.
I suck at screen share. And wow, that
was crazy.
Everyone can see that.
Like a hall of mirrors going on.
Oh my God. It's, you know what? Fuck that. I'm not going to, after the problems we've been having, I'm not going to even try it. Anyway, I was going to be the small fish preaching to the big fish who's been around for over a decade, that I came up with a list of 20 commandments, and the biggest one is don't name call. And so as soon as you called him a dick, like me, if that were me, I'd be like, okay, Kate, we're on a different level now. But now we have to address the name calling. Oh, I know. But no, it comes up later. I think both of you do it. As soon as name calling enters into the equation, we have to disregard everything we've been talking about. We have to address that. We have to get back onto some civil footing. See what I'm saying?
Well, I did.
All right. Okay. Okay.
At one point during that first discussion, Steve did like ask me a yes/no question, or so he thought. But there was I wish I could remember what it was. I tried finding that hangout so I could be specific. I couldn't find it. But the basic thing was he like said, this is a yes/no question. This is a straightforward question. And I was like, but there's nuance to it. I can't give you a yes or no. I have to explain what I actually mean. And he's basically said that I could explain what I meant, provided I first committed myself to a yes or a no. Okay, so I mean, he said flat out.
Now, I went back and read that. Okay.
Hold on. And he said later that at no time did he tell me that I had to give him only a yes or a no, but that was effectively what was going on. And
I can see how you thought it felt like that, but at the end, he did caveat it with, but feel free to answer any way you choose.
Yes, but the problem is that I could have said yes and I could have said no, and both of them would have applied. But I've said it before, it felt like he was trying to walk me to a preordained conclusion that he had. He's said many times that he's using the Socratic method, and could he be more full of himself, to try to show me that my position is flawed. And it seemed like when I was going off script, he would not let the conversation proceed, right?
Yep. And sometimes he's Anthony Magnabosco, but with a sword.
Don't know who that is, but
he's the one that goes. He's the street epistemology guy that goes into public parks and does true Socratic method. Yeah, he's awesome. It's not my style. It's a great style. It's a great method. It's not for everyone, but it can be used offensively. It can be used as a weapon. Yeah. I like how you said that.
Yeah, that is what someone said in the great debate community, is that like they said, I think the problem Kate is having here is that you've weaponized this Socratic method. You're using it as a club. And when I saw that, when I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, it's exactly what's going on. And despite two of us telling him that, Steve was like, I'm not doing that. And it's like, dude, yes, you have. This is the effect you're having on us. But he has a tendency to nitpick, and he has a tendency to cherry pick. And it's like really hard to have a conversation with him when that's going on, because it's like, I said X, and he goes, well, you said point X, like 0.5 of X. And it's like, well, I said more than that, and it matters. Context matters. So it's like I said, it's really hard to talk to him. So anyway, like I said, there was that other hangout, and he wouldn't let me in. He wouldn't let me help. I mean, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to help. I didn't want to argue. I just wanted to say, guys, this is what you're doing to each other. And he wouldn't do it. And he damned with faint praise. And I was like, fuck, this sucks. Right. Yeah. And so I was seething about it for a while. And then I'm in Mr. Atheist's gay theism chat, which was a lot of fun. But because this was sort of sticking in my craw, and maybe I shouldn't have, but I brought it up. Right. Mm-hmm. And then before Steve even got into the room, I mentioned that it was about this whole atheism, definition of atheism thing. When he gets in the chat, though, he kind of decided that it was this incident from 4 years ago, which I don't even remember. And like, apparently we were arguing about the morality of killing a person in a dream, or killing an NPC in a video game. And again, he was doing that sort of weaponized Socratic method thing. Now, it wasn't until later that I realized why I object to that, is because it never makes his position vulnerable, right? Where he's just asking questions, and I have to answer questions, and I never get to give back.
Why
right?
not? Why don't you just insert yourself
Well,
into that
because
and
when I
ask a question?
try,
Uh-huh.
because when I try, he says, "You're not answering my questions. You're not answering my questions."
Hmm.
And so basically later, like 2 days ago, I think, because we were still arguing, even though I tried to drop it before that, but Steve wouldn't let it die. And so basically what I said to him is, if you have a point, make a point in statement form so that I can critique that too. And then you can critique my critique and we go back and forth and have a two-way conversation.
Yes, yes.
And he would not do it. And at one point, he was like, Kate's not answering my questions. Kate's not answering my. He said it over and over in the great debate community, on Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. And I even said to him, I said, look, if you dump some hormones and we do this calmly and you let it be a two-way conversation, give me a sign it can be a two-way conversation. I will answer your questions. And not only did he not acknowledge that I was trying to extend that olive branch of perfectly reasonable conditions that I think, he didn't acknowledge that and just kept saying, Kate won't answer my questions. Kate won't answer my questions. And so I was like, this is never going to go anywhere. Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, before that, though, after it was during the gaytheism thing that we had the thing where I had my seizure, right? And the whole time I'm having my seizure, he's ranting at me, telling me that I have an inability to answer his questions and just all this stuff. And by the way, if he's objecting to that in the chat right now, we have recordings of it. He said exactly that. And so, like, they go, I don't know, 2-3 minutes or something, while in the hangout, I'm doing that thing where my arm goes like this. I've described it as conducting an orchestra with a mouthful of peanut butter, because that's what it looks like. I'm doing like this. It looks really strange. And like nobody noticed. And he says, well, but you singled me out. And I'm like, yeah, I singled you out because you were ranting at me. You were calling me names, insulting me, all kinds of stuff. You were impugning my ability to debate and all this stuff. And I have no way to defend myself. In fact, when I was coming out of the seizure, I was like, and you don't ask me a question when I've come out of a seizure, because I will give you wrong answers. I've gotten my name wrong
I've
as
got
soon as
two
I'm
things
coming out
to
of a seizure.
I got two things to interject. First thing, I'm just going to reiterate what I said 2 nights ago, but in hindsight, now Steve made 3 very important concessions that night, and one of which was he would have handled that situation differently. He would have made different some choices after you had come out, but it was in hindsight, he should have reacted differently. Now, when you came out of that seizure, probably that best thing to do would be just to end the stream and to see if you're okay, and that.
Well, that's another
right.
thing,
But
is nobody, I mean, like Mr. Atheist realized that I'd had a seizure, and apparently he told Steve that I'd had a seizure.
Let me give you my analogy.
Right.
This was several years ago. I was playing, I was bowling with a lot of friends. My wife, she was up to bowl, and she stepped over the line, and it's really slippery on the other side of that line, and she slipped hard, and she fell backwards and bounced her head off the hardwood floor. My first reaction, before I could even think about what was going on, was to just laugh at her, like I was crazy laughing at her. And I regret that to the end of my days, because now it caused some what's it called, babe? She's got a condition now because of it. And it's just a huge regret for me. And I wish I could go back and just replay that in my head. Now, with that being said, let me move to something Steve said in the live chat. I wouldn't let it die, ? I did not say, I did not.
I said no chat, no chat.
Can I just give you just one thing, his one response to that?
I really don't want to hear anything he has to say right now. I think it will be disruptive, and it'll be disrespectful, because I did not look, like, I looked at the chat, but I didn't say a damn thing when he was live, because I knew it would be, well, hold on. I knew it would be disruptive. I don't want to hear it. I really don't. Okay. If he's got something to say, tough.
But it's a timeline thing. I think it might be a little bit pertinent.
But he already has his timeline wrong. We know this. So no, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. He can say it to everybody else. He's not going to say it to me. Now, of the people in that chat, right? Now, I mean, again, I don't really know that I've had a seizure. It was asked, yes, but I was, like I say, I was too out of it to give an accurate answer. I get my name wrong when I've come out of a seizure. Okay. The only person in that hangout, the only person who reached out to me after the fact when everyone knew what had happened was Mr. Atheist. The only one, right? So again, I mean,
I'm starting to like that guy. I don't know anything about
yeah,
him, but I think he's a solid character.
yeah.
I want to learn
So,
more about him.
oh, he's pretty cool,
Yeah.
definitely. So, yeah. So, so after that, I'm kind of grouchy about it. I mean, I looked at the stream later, and I saw what had happened. And I was like, wow, this was kind of not okay. Now, he said at one point that he'd had a girlfriend who had had seizures and he didn't want to embarrass me, yada, yada, yada. The thing is, if anyone knows me at all, I've talked about my seizures before on my channel. Now, granted, the video I put up about what a seizure is like, the one with all the hospital footage, that was on my alternate channel, so most of my subscribers hadn't seen it. And I posted it on my main channel because people should probably know. But I've talked about it before. And if there's one thing that I don't have with regard to my seizures, it's shame. Okay, I've been so open about my seizures, right?
Yep.
So,
I followed you for over a decade. I know.
so yeah, I mean, hell, we can talk about other ways I don't have shame, but that's a
We are
topic
going
for
to,
another
Kate.
day.
No,
All
it's going to
right.
be at the end, hopefully.
Okay. So, yeah, and again, I mean, I put up that video, and I'm worried about what I want to do because I'm still angry. I'm still pretty angry. And it about what was it, like 2-3 days later, I was finally like, I want to address this. I really because I mean, I've taken shit from Steve for a while now, or at least it's felt like it. And so I agonized about it. If any of you are in my BionicDance group, you've seen me talk about it, like where I was like, should I even make this video? And I described what had happened, and a lot of people were like, I don't know. And then I showed them some of the stuff that had happened. Like I queued up that hangout and showed it to them, and they were like, give him both barrels. That guy was being a dick, right? And then I made the video, and before I posted it, I sent it to a friend. I was like, should I put this up? And he was like, yes, you should. Right. So, I mean, I didn't do this just on a whim. I didn't do it out of impulse. If this was revenge, it was served cold. Right.
Yeah.
And so I put it up full well knowing that it was going to cause drama. But some part of me really wanted to see, this is going to sound horrible, but I wanted to see Steve humbled because I do think he's full of himself. I'm not saying I want to humiliated, humbled. I wanted to see him taken off that pedestal that he's put himself on and try to deal with me like an equal. Right.
Yeah,
So
I'm trying to find a parallel to that. There was a time, okay, let me just jump in real quick. There was a time when General Han Solo and they build it at, you've heard of him?
no,
Oh,
I
it's
mean,
Robert Rowe. He's an Australian surfer, pretty boy, and he knows his Bible, boy. And
okay.
yeah, and we were talking about the Trinity, and it was billed as just a discussion, but it was later retitled as the debate where Jim Hall of Atheist Edge gets crushed by General Hunt's. It's okay. I don't even care. But we were talking about the Trinity. And boy, I was drinking out of the fire hose. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And now this is my main point. Something in the back of my head, just like you, I wanted to see him humbled somehow. And I had this desire, but I squashed that desire. And I just went with, you know what? You have a great point. And he did. I was sincere. He had great points. I had to go back and research the entire Bible because he gave me 26 explicit references to the Trinity. And I thought there was only 2, one of which was authentic. And he gave me 26. So I had a lot of homework to do. My larger point is sometimes it's okay to say, wow, you have a great point. And then subconsciously, I would love to see you humbled like a motherfucker. This is really making me look bad. But you know what? I'm going to have to eat the shit sandwich and I'm going to just do my homework.
Well, here's the thing, though, is, I mean, he didn't have a great point. I mean, you can see it in the hangout where I had a seizure. I'm explaining the whole thing where I thought he was making me strawman myself, where he made me commit to a yes or no before I could give the nuance, all of that stuff. And after I'm done saying it, felt like you were trying to make me strawman myself. He goes, well, that doesn't make any sense. And then he goes into like his little diatribe. And I'm like, what I said didn't make any sense. It's like he didn't even consider it, right? It seemed like he could do no wrong in his world. And we've been repeating that sort of pattern over and over in the great debate community, where he'll say something and I'll point out like a problem with how he said it or a problem with the actual thing he said, and he'll ignore it, or he'll reword it so that it doesn't mean what I said anymore, and all kinds of stuff like that, where it's like he doesn't do any self-examination, no self-criticism. And that's one of the other things that's brought this to a head, is, like I say, I didn't want to see him humiliated, but I wanted to see him humbled. I wanted to see him do what he expects the rest of us to do. Because I do think he's full of himself. I really do.
You know, I don't think Steve is going to kick me in the nuts for this, but you're right. I don't think I've ever seen him say, you have a good point, or you're right. I've seen him just go, he is a very assertive, very aggressive, almost to the point of abrasive personality, where he is right and there is nothing that's going to get in my way. And Steve, I know you're listening. I love you, but that's the air I get. It would be nice once in a while to at least examine the other viewpoint, say, I'm going to go back and look at that maybe.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean, he also loves to try to set the parameters of a debate where, like, the stuff I mean doesn't mean anything anymore because he's decided that we're going to be using his definitions, or we can only debate it his way. And he's always like, you made an accusation, you have to back it up every time someone says anything that might challenge him a little. And I'm like, how do you deal with that? I mean, how do you have a conversation with someone who's like that? And I mean, I tried to explain it to him many times. I tried civilly. I tried angrily. I tried everything, and it just wouldn't happen. I couldn't. So yeah, that's one of the things. I mean, I talked to some folks. I watched one hangout from a while back, and I was in another one with a whole bunch of people who were saying they'd have had exactly the same experience I did. And Steve has earlier today said, oh, these are former members of the GDC. They're just like, they're going to talk shit about him because they're angry or something. But I mean, they said things like how he apparently took over the GDC and kicked a bunch of people out and accused some of them of trying to make him homeless, when even like some of them were even Patreon patrons of his. And it got to a point where I'm like, is this guy even running on all cylinders?
I see it. I totally see it. Remember, he is the epitome of the alpha. I almost said alpha male. He is an alpha. Male gender has no bearing because you're a martial artist. You can understand the warrior class of.
I gotta tell you something about that. I mean, I haven't taken a martial arts class in years, and I only got the high yellow belt. So
okay.
Don't beat that horse too dead.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm probably going off of stuff that I remember about you from way back. But okay, in the warrior class of society, I can relate to Steve on a different level, and he is definitely. I mean, that assertive can get you so far, but sometimes you have to give a little ground. Sometimes you have to. There's an. I didn't want to really say this on air, but Sun Tzu, The Art of War. One of the main maxims in this book is that it's called win by losing. Sometimes you have to concede a little bit of ground to get to a better, a higher conclusion. Sometimes you have to see their side of it above and beyond what you normally would to come to some better perspective of it. I mean,
I forget whether I said this in this stream or the one that kept failing on us, but I mean, like I said, he did keep saying, Kate won't answer my questions. Kate won't answer my questions. And I said to him, look, I'll answer if this gets calmer and if it can be a two-way conversation. right? I mean, did I say that part where, like in this one, where I said if he puts his arguments in statement form, so I can criticize them just as much as he can criticize me, that we
Yes.
can both rebut each other, and he wouldn't do it.
Yes, and I believe there was a little bit of gish gallop on both sides, but mostly on his side. I don't think he was giving you ample time to respond to him. He was hitting you with another question before you could even answer the first question.
Yeah. Now, he was complaining a little while ago that I had blocked him on YouTube, so he couldn't like respond to everybody on my channel, on my videos, and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I blocked you. You're being a dick. I mean, that's the only reason.
Kate, let's take it down
Well,
one
all
level.
right.
You know,
I
you
know.
don't have to. I'm all about free speech. I don't block, ban, censor, but we got to take it down one level.
Okay.
You'd be surprised
Well,
the benefits from not name calling right off the bat.
Well, okay, but that's how I'm saying that was my motivation for doing it, right? Like, I'm not saying you're a dick right now. I'm saying at the time, that was my motivation. Usually, I only have like one or two criteria for blocking somebody. It's like if they're personally insulting, where they don't have an argument at all, right? Where they're saying like, "Oh, you're ugly," or "You're stupid," and they don't make a point. That's when I block them, because what's the point in having someone like that around,
Right.
right?
Right. Exactly.
Now, in Steve's case, I was just done with him. I mean, I'd actually said to him at one point, and I'll tell you why I broke this vow, but I said to him, look, I'm done talking to you. There's no point. I don't think we can get anywhere, and I'm just done. And I did it. Right. I muted all of the GDC conversations. I blocked him off of YouTube so he couldn't go there. I blocked him on Twitter, everything, just so I could get away from the guy, because I didn't want anything to do with him. And to be honest, I'm not saying this was your fault, but when you said we were going to have videos together, I was like, well, I'm going to have to interact with him somehow, because we were going to do
When did I say that?
No, well, you said we were going to have a video back and forth. Like at first, it was going to be a video at the same time. And then Steve, apparently, this is what you told me, that Steve didn't want to do this with me.
It was Steve that didn't want he wanted to cease interaction with you. It definitely was him, yes.
But so that's sort of why I broke the vow, because I knew we were going to be interacting anyway. So I figured, what the hell.
And let me also say that when we first talked about this show, you did preface it with, I am doing this under protest because I don't want just Steve's side of the story out there.
Yes, and that's also, I have to freely admit that I wanted to do it second because I wanted the last word. Maybe that makes me an asshole, but...
No, I don't think it does. As long as, it doesn't matter who has the last word, as long as, and we are going to come to some sort of resolution tonight. It might be not what I wanted, but it's going to be, and I already can tell you, I can guarantee everyone listening right now, I already have a plan in mind. It's going to be even if that resolution is Kate's never coming back on Non Sequitur or GDC, but they are going to agree to disagree. This is the minimum I'm going to accept. They're going to agree to disagree. No more shit talking, and don't hurt our goddamn atheist community anymore. That's my minimum.
So, shit, I lost what I was going to say.
Sorry.
Okay. What was I saying before you broke in? Oh, right. Criteria for blocking people. Right. Even after I did that initial, I'm not going to talk to you anymore, he made several more posts. And I don't mean replies. I mean posts. Like, he would not let it die. And I'm like, I tried to be the bigger person here, and it didn't work. So, I mean, maybe, and like I said, this is not your fault in any way, but maybe I should have kept my vow, even though we were going to have this interaction. So maybe that's my bad. But maybe if I kept that vow and just totally kept it, he would have eventually dropped it and it would be over. But, oh well.
You read my mind.
Yeah. So,
hey, that's a good concession. And thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so we've been interacting on GDC for the last day or two, and it's really come to a head. I've said a few things that honestly I kind of mean, but also were kind of mean. But at the same time, I didn't think they were false either. And I mean, because he still kept picking and choosing what he wanted to hear. Like at one point, someone asked me a question and I started answering them. And Steve was like, Kate still won't answer my questions. And I was like, you know what, Steve? No, I won't. And you know why? Because this is personal. Okay. And because this is about you. And he was like, how are my questions personal? And I'm like, wow, did he really not understand what I just said? Because I mean, he seemed to not understand it. And then when I called him on that, he was like, of course I understood you. I'm sitting there going, either he's a hypocrite or he's dishonest or he's not all there. I don't know what's going on, but for some reason this isn't sinking in. Right. And
Yes.
so then I flat out told him in no uncertain terms, Steve, this is about you. I will answer those questions if anybody but you asks me, but this is about you. I want nothing more to do with you. And even that didn't seem to percolate. And I'm like, what the fuck? How do I do this? How do I I mean, like I said, those might have been mean, but I also meant them. And I was like, how do I end this? I don't know how to end this.
It is so surreal from my perspective. I mean, one of my internet idols from so far back that I cannot believe I'm lecturing you right now. But I'm gonna well, first off, I'm gonna come to your defense. There was something posted in the Great Debate Community forum. It was a like a meme photo, and I'm going to come to your defense a little bit. I'm not going to. Yeah, you posted it.
Oh, did I? Okay.
Yeah, and it was okay. The title of this is "Seeking an Amicable Resolution." Part one was Steve. Part two was you, and then you pointed an arrow at what Steve said about it, and he said, "Tonight I'll be on Atheist. It's not the Atheist Edge, Steve. It's just Atheist Edge." Just FYI, busting balls. It's Atheist Edge.
I know how that is because there's no space between Bionic and Dance, but everyone does it. Anyway, go on.
I try my best. I think I did it right. On Atheist Edge to discuss BionicDance's accusations and to give the actual facts of the situation. Now, I don't know if he thinks, I don't know what his hindsight is, but would that have been better worded? That is just seeking. That's openly provocative, in my opinion. There's a better way to word that. It almost feels like he and maybe you, or probably both of you, are not even wanting. It's almost like you want to keep this going. Why keep this going?
I want it to
all
die.
We're talking about is atheism versus agnosticism. Are babies and rocks atheists? I mean, this is petty. Think about it. Look, step out of the bubble and look at the big picture. I mean, we're only quibbling on just minutia. Could we just not even agree to disagree? Could we continue to argue without the name calling, without the vitriol, and without getting emotionally invested in it? And this is where I'm going to come to Steve's defense, is I think sometimes you let emotions ride on you sometimes. And this is where it's surreal because I can't believe I'm lecturing you of all people.
Oh, stop that. I'm just a schmuck at a desk with a camera.
Jesus, you're fucking crazy. You're crazy. I'm going to gush on you some more at the end.
If that was that awesome, I'd have more subscribers, but go on.
Yeah, you're over 20,000, and that's like, it might as well be 1 million for little fish like me. But you sometimes let emotions ride. If you can squash the emotion and think, and I know we're atheists, we should be thinking logically and rationally in all cases, but sometimes emotions do ride.
Yeah, frustration can be my worst enemy. It really can. Frustration. Oh, and that's another thing I did say to Steve was that he's his own worst enemy.
We've had it out, boy. He and I have had it out. But guess what? It ends, and I don't think it's because we share a lot of commonalities. We're both military. We've both seen some rough times, some shared adversity. So we do have a lot of commonalities. But he can be very overbearing.
Well, that's one thing. Okay, granted, I have been phrasing this in my head for days, and it's going to sound fucking mean, but You know, that whole thing where like, man, I wish I'd said that and didn't, and it'll eat at you for a while. Basically, I watched the hangout that you had with him 2 days ago, and he was playing the nice guy. I mean, the way I was going to say it is that he may on camera look like a discount Santa Claus, but you get him behind the scenes or you get him talking in text and he's a demon, right? He's not the same guy. So
When does he change? When does he turn into Mr. Hyde?
I'm not
Is it
even
when
sure.
it's off camera, when it's just you and him, or is it still a public forum?
It's still a public forum, but it is off camera. As soon as it goes to text, the claws come out, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's like he puts a public face out there where everyone can go, "Oh, hey, Steve." But man, his secret identity, he's not Bruce Wayne. He's the fucking Joker.
And I think I'm gonna watch his response to this in the live chat, but I think even he would concede that in the broadest, loosest definition of atheism, that rocks and babies can be atheists. It's just that we don't use it that way. 10 years, even say maybe 6 years ago, I saw so many videos from all the best YouTubers talking about how rocks are atheists. And they meant it. They were sincere, but you don't hear it anymore because we've kind of evolved. We've grown out of that concept. And babies cannot be, they lack the agency to determine if they are atheists or not.
See, that's why
and we can grow and evolve.
But see, the thing is, that's why they're atheists.
But in the loosest possible definition only. But in the definition that we use every day.
But here's the thing, though, is
cannot
for
be
me,
atheists.
What matters is whether or not it's accurate. I don't care if we think it's ludicrous. I don't care if we think it's a useless definition. What I care about is whether or not you look at it and it's factually true, right? I mean, because that's something else we were getting into. I think it was today, might have been yesterday, where basically, I think it was Steve, but someone else said it too, was that it's kind of loopy to say that all of these other things are atheists. I'm like, okay, it's loopy, but is it true? Right? Do they have the trait of God belief? Yes or no? They don't. I mean, this is one of those rhetorical questions, not a Socratic question where I'm like, I answered my damn self. I'm like, no, they don't. And therefore, they are not theists. So what are they? Atheists. Oh, and Steve pulled another nitpick on that one because I had put A-theist just to emphasize the A, and he somehow took that as not meaning atheist. I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, again, how do you talk to someone like that?
We're quibbling over minutia again, and this is Atheist Edge, and we're going to find here we can find common ground. We all agree that atheism is a lack of belief in deities. I'm sure Steve would agree with that. At the very least, it's a lack of belief in deities.
Well, what he was saying was that's non-theist. We already went over that. And I'm like, no, that's atheist.
But now I'm just trying to loosen it up, just a broad picture. It's a lack of belief. Now, if you want to say babies are atheists and he says that's absolutely not true, I mean, we're quibbling over just minutia.
Well, and that's
Can we not see this?
I put out another video. I think it was before my atheism video. I think it was even before the hangout where I had the seizure, where it was like, but I understand you. I mean, it was exactly what you're saying, is that I was like, someone says something and it's not pedantically true, but you understand what the hell they're saying. I mean, you can even go, well, I'm not sure I agree with that definition, but I get it. I get what you're trying to say. And so let's run with that kind of thing. And I mean, I get what he's trying to say too, but I really think it's not all that accurate. And like I said before, is I think that has more to do with that Venn diagram that I like to draw, because I thought that he was taking non-theists and putting it separate from something where they're not even in an overlapping situation. That's why I was arguing about it. If I hadn't gotten that impression, I would have been like, well, I don't like that word, but what the fuck ever. Right?
I brought that up to him where like amoeba or amorphous or asymmetrical means, okay, what does asymmetrical mean to you?
Not symmetrical.
Right. Not free from symmetry, right? Amorphous means free from a shape. Yeah, I brought that up to him, and he had a great counter. And you know what? Let's step out of this bubble and look at the big picture. Steve is a great guy. You have probably 90 to 95% of everything he believes you are right on board with. Why are we focusing on this little shit and
Well,
vice versa?
I think that he holds a grudge till it dies and then has it stuffed and mounted. I mean, there was that whole thing from like 4 years ago that he thought this whole thing was about that apparently, because he won't shut up about it. But also, I mean, it was 4 years ago. I don't even remember it. It's bygones. I don't care. Right. But he kept bringing it up. And I'm like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's another thing is I'm sure there's some atheists out there, or even people who aren't atheists, who got something I said pissed them off, even in my earliest atheism days. And then someone mentions, "Hey, BionicDance is really cool," thinking they hadn't heard about me, and they're like, "BionicDance is a cunt." I'm like, I'm like, when was the last time you watched one of my videos? I mean, like I may have evolved on some stuff. I may have changed on some stuff. My style of making videos may have changed. How can you say like from my earliest career to now? I mean, I look at some of my older videos and I'm a little bit ashamed of them. But I look at my videos now and I'm like, yes, got it going on. And so, I mean, if someone's bringing up shit from 4 years ago, I'm sorry. And he flat out stated he doesn't watch my videos. In fact, I saw a comment he made somewhere that he said, "Oh, Kate is basically clueless, but entertaining." I'm like, fuck, man. That's
You
not
can't.
okay.
Yeah, people don't understand the plight of the content creator. The old stuff we're so embarrassed of, but we want to keep it out there to show our progress. And one of my very first videos, I took a huge dump on Godless Engineer, and then I met him in person, and now I feel so bad. I want so bad to remove that video.
I
And
had a similar
really,
keep
go ahead.
finishing, but
Go ahead.
oh well, I don't know if you guys remember Shayra and oh god, who's she married to? I can't I know his name is like Daniel, but I can't remember his screen name. But there was something I'd said. I think it might have been the babies are atheist thing, and they dumped all the fuck over me, right? And then we meet at American Atheists, and the next thing you know, we're good friends.
See,
I'm
that's how it
like,
goes, man. That's what I
yeah.
want to try to make happen. I
So
see. I still feel like we can all get naked and dance around a campfire together after this.
I don't know if we're gonna go that far, but okay.
Okay, well then maybe warm showers are out of the question. But you know what I'm saying? I mean,
You are a little male for my tastes.
I know. Well, I like the plumb. I know I like the plumbing, but as far as anyone, oh well, might as well throw it out there now. Anyone that says that you're unattractive, first off, that's subjective. Second off, I don't think that's even a majority position by any means.
Well,
So
you'd be surprised, but go
yeah,
on.
well, fuck that. All right, and I guess since I'm throwing it out there too, you already threw your little Tron character, and if anyone in the live chat can explain Kate's shirt, they get a free shout out next video.
There's a chance I'm a fan, just a little
I
bit.
am a huge Tron fan, and you just gained like I don't even know how you can gain more bonus points, but you just did.
Hold on a sec. Let me see if I can get this on camera. See that?
Oh, you
And
are out of
just
your mind.
above it is Xena's chakram, right?
Oh,
So yeah.
I've got a friend that would love you to do. I'm a huge Tron fan, but he takes it to another level. He's like, he has I think every Tron, everything ever commercial product Tron has ever done. He even has the stand-up Tron video game in his house.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Wait. There were two of them. Is it the Discs of Tron or was it the other one?
Nope. It was the original Tron.
Oh, because I love Discs of Tron. So
Which
cool.
I'm going to blow my own horn here. I got to level 33. I could get to where there was a complete line of light cycles up top. And all you do there, it gets easier and easier. Once the light cycles get fully stocked up top, it gets really easy. So all you have to do is make a little box for yourself and get real slow. And they kill themselves.
Well, there's a novelization, right, which I've read, and okay, even just the movie itself, just watching the movie like a gajillion times the way I have, you see the intricate world building that went into this movie. And then if you read the novelization, it filled in all these little things that I wondered about for the longest time. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what that meant. Holy crap. So, I mean, this is such an intricate movie, which is why Tron Legacy pissed me right the fuck off.
Thank you for saying that. I was about to ask you, what was your take on the remake?
Oh, you have no idea. Oh, there were so
Such
many
a letdown.
flaws.
Such a letdown.
Yes. Yes.
Yep. Okay. Back on the subject. You're a cool chick. Steve's a cool guy. We can all get along.
Can we?
Do you feel like okay, if I asked you right now, would you want to ever come on a show if you were asked to talk about a benign vanilla something, maybe something that you can, maybe something you can both.
Plain vanilla is exotic. Don't get me started.
Okay, not
all right. Anyway,
not vanilla bean, just just a regular plain benign subject that maybe you both agree on, that you maybe have a third party on. Let's say if he invited you on to talk to a flat earther, you and him and a flat earther, would you do that?
No. I mean, seriously, after all the shit he's done, no. I mean, over the last couple of days, I have developed what you might call a deep, seething hatred for Steve McRae.
Okay.
I mean, like, there are, I mean, I know he says, oh, but I have all the respect for Kate. And I'm like, I don't believe him. I've seen him say that to other people when he disagrees with them vehemently, but they're great otherwise. And I'm like, that is starting to sound so trite. It sounds disingenuous, and I don't buy it for a second. And then there's all the arguments we've had and all that stuff, and the names that have gone back and forth. And honestly, I would lose absolutely no sleep whatsoever right now if he was flattened by a 747.
Oh, Kate.
No, I am dead fucking serious.
No,
I am that.
Never wish ill will on somebody.
Not even Shatner?
Let's start at the bare minimum of what I'm willing to accept before we go offline. Is that okay? You're never going to have any contact with each other, but can you agree to not?
You never know that. I might go to a convention, and he might be there. So
you don't have to show. You don't have to roll up on him. He doesn't have to roll up on you. We're going to be at conventions. I'm at every convention now. I'm stuck in this.
But
people don't know when you start getting into this game, and it's so much work for so little payout.
Yeah, well, there is that.
Yeah, but my minimum requirement before we go off air, my minimum requirement is that we agree no more name calling on both sides and no more shit talking in public. Can we at least agree on that?
Okay, like I said, I wanted to let this drop days ago, right? So I was totally willing to, I take that back. I kind of did shit talk him in private in my BionicDance Facebook group because I was angry.
No,
I was angry.
Yeah, you did some name calling in the G+.
Well, that was after though. That was after I'd said I'm done with this. I want nothing more to do with it. And like I said, for a couple of days, he kept posting more shit.
And let me just jump in. I'm sorry. Let me jump in. Your fans, they are so loyal to the point of being rabid, which says a lot about you. But they have called him. Let me get my notes. They've called him micro penis, and they have threatened to make him famous on their blogs. I don't know how much reach their blogs have, but yeah, your fans have definitely come to your defense.
There is that, and I mean, I appreciate that. I hope nobody goes overboard. Apparently, he said something about getting death threats. Goodness knows I don't really condone that. Not really. I mean, I know I just said the 747 thing, but I'm saying it was an accident, not someone actually hiring a pilot to squash him. But I mean, what can I say? I mean, I'm grateful to my fans. I hope they don't take it too far. Right?
Yeah.
So, but honestly, I'm not sure that there can be any kind of solution to this. I'm not sure that there's a way to bury the hatchet, because like I say, he won't let it die. He just won't. And I'm still quite angry. I think the last thing I'll ever get from him is a sincere apology, right? So what is there to work toward?
Well, I'm going to have to fall back on my minimum requirement, and that is that no more shit talking. You have to think about the bigger picture. We are 4 to 6% of the population. We are you, whether you like it or not, and he, and I guess I to a lesser extent, are representatives of this community. So we have to agree that we have to, at least at the very minimum, squash the name calling, squash the diatribe, the shit talking, and just back off each other and move on to something else.
Thing is, he's made some pretty unforgivable like claims, offensive things to say, mean, horrible things that honestly I'm not sure I can forgive him for. Now I can stop shit talking if he does, right? But I want him to maintain a minimum safe distance too, because I don't feel that I can trust him. I've seen him lie. I've seen him be hypocritical, and I don't want his ilk anywhere near me. There's no point in interacting with him. There's just not.
Okay, man, I'm gonna have to fall back on my minimum requirement then. That's fine. And you know what? Time heals all wounds, and I actually have hope that maybe this can be resolved at a later date. But for now, I think the best thing to do is just, you do your thing, he does his thing, we all do our thing. As long as there's, you know what? Imagine a Christian just stumbling on one of your all's channels right now, like the one you did just the other day about I am a little bit angry. I think that was the title. Imagine a Christian. That's the first experience that an atheist, their first experience of an atheist. And then they see all this internal airing of dirty laundry. That's how I look at it.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I see what you mean. Yeah. And I mean, I'm certainly willing to at least set that video to unlisted or private so that people aren't like running across it in their stream. I don't want to delete it entirely.
No, I wouldn't say leave it public, but from here on out, maybe, let's I got to give Holy Kool-Aid some credit. He's been just bombarded. He gets bombarded. Thomas Westbrook, he gets bombarded by trolls and probably death threats. And this guy just brushes it off like water on a duck's back. And he just goes for the positive aspects of science. And I want to get sexual education in public schools. And I want to get separation of church and state. And he's just so positive. And I use him as my example. Like, he's always pushing forward. He's never looking back.
Well, the thing is, though, I mean, if it was a Christian, I wouldn't give a toss, right? Yeah. But I have to interact with this community. And Steve went on this rant about me. And I'm like, and he did it in front of a bunch of atheists. He told me that I'm basically intellectually inadequate. And I'm like, this is not okay.
That's not. That's obviously not true.
And also
your longevity alone, and there's no one lasts this long being a dumbass.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, I do want to be on the Non Sequitur show sometime again. I like being on the Non Sequitur show. It definitely doesn't hurt my subscriber count. But I don't want to be there when he is, but he's in every episode, so I can't anymore.
Well, it's just him and Kyle. That's
what?
The only. It's just him and Kyle, so you're gonna have to deal with him.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
that's what I'm saying is I don't think I'm gonna be ever again because I can't deal with Steve. I can't. I mean, it's like we were actually doing pretty okay with each other right up until this last incident. Right, where it's like he's fine with you right up until you disagree with him because he doesn't know how to handle disagreement.
I've been there. I've disagreed with him. We've argued vehemently for 3 hours straight, live on camera, but it ended with a handshake. And
Well,
I don't. What is the difference? I mean,
well,
what
no,
was
well,
different?
I'll explain the difference. This ended with insults to my intelligence, and he keeps bringing up that incident from 4 years ago, and I'm like I said before, he holds a grudge till it dies of old age, and then has it stuffed and mounted.
What if when he brings up the something you said from 4 years ago, what if right at that exact moment you said, "Hey, that was me 4 years ago. I've reformed my position, and here's what I think now."
Well, because I have not reformed that position. I still
Okay.
hold it. It's
Oh,
exactly the one we're arguing about right now.
yeah. Then it
Well,
doesn't
no,
matter if it was four
I take
years
it
ago.
back.
Then
It's the one that was about immorality, amorality, that sort of shit. But I mean, like I don't care about that whole morality, immorality thing. That was a stupid argument in the first place. It was all kinds of like conjecture, and it was like a lot of sort of amorphous opinion shit going on. I don't care. But the definition of atheist thing is one that to me matters a lot because it shapes how we talk about the topic at all, like in the first place. And I mean, I have a lot of experience with that where I help staff an atheism booth in Balboa Park every Saturday. And all of us talk about the definition of atheism the way I do. All of us, right? And there's a lot of folks who talk about it who watch my channel and all this stuff. I mean, a lot of us have said that we're changing the definition intentionally because the one Steve uses is crap, right? Because it's inaccurate, because we find it wrong. And but because I haven't gone through like whatever it is, the Stanford philosophical textbook, whatever the fuck it is, because I haven't done that, he's decided that I'm an idiot, that I'm illiterate on the subject, that I know nothing and have nothing to contribute.
it is objectively false that you are illiterate and that you are dumb on the subject. If he said that, that was completely on his side of the table.
Well, but the thing is,
I just have to let you know that you gave me a little bit of PTSD because when you mentioned Balboa Park in San Diego, that's where we were forced to do 6-mile daily runs at drill instructor school. And I do not want to ever see that park again in my life. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, but the thing is that Steve didn't just say it once. He said it over and over and over to as many people as he possibly can. And like, so now my reputation, I mean, he said, do you know why no one invites you onto their hangouts? That's why. And I'm like, dude, you're a child. I can't, how do you deal with that? I mean, he's already basically, like I say, tried to tarnish my reputation all over the place.
Kate, that's name calling though. If you call him a child, see,
but he's acting like one.
Okay, like is a simile.
Okay, fine.
You just said he's a child.
Okay, fine. He's acting like a child. Fine. But the point being that, I mean, he's been super, super vindictive, which granted has inspired me in that direction occasionally. But I mean, he's probably harming my like subscriber count. He's probably like, some people are probably coming to my channel now to argue on his behalf and all this stuff. And I'm just like,
is that happening?
Not yet, but I'm sure it will, or at least I'm relatively sure it will.
You want to know a little secret? When this first started, I had this suspicion that you and he were concocting this purposely for the ratings.
Troll, you're about no.
It has been done before, and I thought maybe you guys were secretly in love with each other and thought this was all for the ratings.
Here's the thing. I learned my lesson about trying to concoct drama a bunch of years ago because a bunch of us got together. It was like me and Dark Matter and a few other people. I don't remember exactly who. And we had this whole thing where we made these videos that didn't actually say anything, but it sounded like we were like denying drama was happening, or we were saying it's not my fault or something without any context. People saw totally through it. They were like, you guys are just, this is bullshit. But it backfired on us so hard, and I will never like manufacture drama ever again. If there's drama happening, I might participate, but if it's fake, fuck no. So
it has been done before. by people even bigger than you.
Well, I'm not participating in that shit ever again. Just not gonna. I learned my lesson on that. Anyone who says I can't learn a lesson, fuck you. I learned that one.
Let's go to blocking comments, banning, and censoring people.
Right.
All right. So it looks like, and I'm going to third party, unbiased perspective, it looks like you are the culprit as far as blocking the free speech of others. And I say that out of love, but I think any blocking, banning, censoring is being done on your side of the table. Would you want to maybe reevaluate that?
When it comes to Steve, no. Like I said, I want him to maintain minimum safe distance. I find what he does to be inflammatory. I find him to be vindictive. He says that my philosophy, like he doesn't want to have philosophical discussions with me, and he won't participate in. Well, I don't want to have any discussions with him. I don't want him near me. It's no, I'm not going to unblock him. I am doing this for my own mental health. I'm doing it for the health of my channel. He's not adding anything productive.
If I asked you the best way forward from starting from right now, what would you say is the best way forward?
Hiring assassins. No, I don't know. I don't know.
Shit.
I mean, honestly, if we're going to maintain, or if we're going to build bridges, if we're going to try to mend fences, any of that, the very first step, he has to give a sincere apology for the shit he's pulled. Sincere.
Do you as well?
If he wants one, but
Okay.
I want him to be specific about what. I mean, I can be.
How about all the name calling right off the bat?
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
All right. But like I said, him first.
Well, you know.
No, I'm serious. I'm serious because like there's the whole like I said, calling me intellectually illiterate. There's the bringing up shit from 4 years ago, all the grudges and stuff. I mean, his behavior has been unacceptable. It really has. And I never would have done shit if he hadn't been like that. Right? This whole incident started because of him. So I want that apology first.
Can we, do you have any final thoughts on this subject before I move into some benign topics?
No, I like I said, I've wanted this to die for days now. I've had my say. I kind of feel like, I mean, maybe tomorrow I'll be like, fuck, I didn't say that. But for right now, I feel satisfied. I feel vented. I think we can move on.
I tell you what, if you have something big that you did, that you omitted out of this, I will pin it to the top of the comments if that helps.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
I mean, that may be extreme. I don't want to go there. I want it to die. Like I said, I want it to die.
Okay. Let's see. Board games. What you recently, you just earlier talked about, you meet with some people and do board games. What kind of board games?
Well, I mean, nothing standard. We're not playing Connect 4 or Monopoly. It's geekier stuff than that. I mean, there's this one called Werewolf and Werewords, and we really enjoy those. Those are a blast. Let's see. Secret Hitler is another one. I don't know if you've ever played that.
No.
No, it's this sort of like hidden identity game where there's like all these people who are liberals, and then there's a couple who are fascists, and one of the fascists is Hitler, right? And the thing is, Hitler knows they're Hitler. The fascists know they're fascists, and they know who Hitler is, but Hitler doesn't know who the fascists are. And then you're like electing presidents and a chancellor, and everyone's putting up these like yeah or nine cards when they're voting and stuff like that. And there's this board based on like the policies that you play, because the president will take 3 of these policies, look at them, and hand 2 to the chancellor, discard 1. The chancellor decides what they want to play. Now, they might be liberal, they might be fascist, and there's fewer fewer liberal policies than fascist. And so there's a liberal board and a fascist board, and you start putting the policies down. Now, if the liberals fill up their board, they win. But if the fascists fill up their board, they also win. But there's also this section where if they manage to elect Hitler as the chancellor, not the president, but as the chancellor, they win. But also on their board, these little things where you get to look at someone's party affiliation card, but not their identity card. There's a couple of things where you get to choose the next president to be voted on. And then there's one where it's like the last two before the fascists win are assassinations, where if you're the president and you get elected president on one of those, you get to shoot somebody, right? And they're out of the game. Now, if you shoot Hitler, the liberals win. But otherwise, you might take out a liberal. I don't know. It's a fun game, but we play it way the hell too often.
Oh my God.
There's also like Illuminati, Dixit, Concept.
Dixit. I do Dixit.
Monikers and what's the code names? That's the one. There's just like the people bring these huge piles of games and we just pick one and we'll sometimes end up in like 4 different groups and things. It's an absolute blast. And it goes from like 6:30 to midnight and beyond. It's really cool. Yeah.
2 things. One, I instantly want to move to Southern California because it sounds so fun. I want to be a part of that. And second, that sounds like a kind of a remake of a word game. It has nothing to do with cards. It's just a group of people. I think it has to be 7 or more people, but there's an investigator, there's a murderer, and the rest are just bystanders. And it's a thing where you have to just ask questions. It sounds like a remake of that, but I love it. I love it.
There's actually a lot of games that work pretty much the same way, except they're variations. Like there's one called Donner Dinner Party where there's cannibals and colonists, right? And then, like I said, werewolf and werewords, they're variations on the same game. And that's the same too, except werewolf has tons of different roles that you can play. And it's pretty cool. So yeah, it's a fun night.
Awesome. Next question. Now I'm digging way deep, like 2008, 2009 deep. Used to consistently wear a particular shirt on your videos, and there was a word on it that I use frequently now because of you.
I think I know what you're talking about.
What was it? What do you think it was?
Vegetarian?
Yes. And now now you've ruined me because every time I meet a lesbian, I say, "Oh, so because I've been a vegetarian for 6 years." I say, "I'm a vegetarian." So how long have you been a vegetarian? Whatever. Anyway, it's corny, but
okay.
It's because of you. I say that word.
Well, I'm not going to say my bad, but now you say you're a vegetarian.
Yes, 6 years.
You know the hardest part of a vegetable to eat is the wheelchair. Yeah, I love that joke so much.
Oh, shit. I have no response to that at all. That is okay. That's going to be in the highlights clip. That is definitely okay. Now when I promoted this video, I put cats in the background, and my wife off camera really wants to know the names of all your cats.
Columbia. That's it.
Oh, you only have one cat. I
had Ivan for a while, but he was a total attention whore to the point where Columbia would never sit on my lap anymore. Because he would always come over and bat her away and stuff. And I was like, you're ruining my relationship with the cat I've had since forever. I can't do this. I brought him back to the Humane Society, but they actually thanked me quite a bit because I told them about his personality traits. And they were like, now we know what kind of a home to put him in. We know he needs a single cat home, a single cat family. And, we know what he likes to play with, what he likes to eat, et cetera, et cetera. So they were pretty grateful that I brought him back. But now I just have Columbia.
Why did you name your cat that?
Well, it's sort of from 2 mildly geeky sources. One, she's sort of half named after the Rocky Horror Picture Show character. And 2, she's named after the space shuttle.
So it's Columbia with an O, not a U.
No, it's a U.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got it backwards. Yeah, Columbia with a U is our capital, right? And Columbia with an O is where I used to live for 3 years.
Okay.
I lived in Bogota I lived in Bogota on and off for 3 years.
Gotcha. Well, so that's
okay.
Yeah.
So the reason I didn't put dogs in the background, and I'm reaching way back now. Now tell me when do dogs affect you? Because you have a actual no shit psychological phobia of dogs, correct?
Yes, I was well, I was a toddler. I don't know my exact age, 1.5 or 2. It was definitely not more than 2. Now it's weird because they say that people have a greater fear of dogs if they weren't the one who was mauled, if they're watching the mauling. So I'm at a babysitter's and there were 2 other toddlers who got ripped to shreds. I mean, we're talking ears hanging by flaps of skin here. And ever
Shit.
since then, I have been terrified. Now, I don't actually remember this. My parents told me all about it. I mean, hell, I was 2. Who remembers shit from when they were 2? But yeah, so ever since then, dogs are terrifying. Even the ones that are small enough that I could punt them if they got aggressive, I'm like, keep it away from me. Mm. Although the weirdly ironic part is my favorite stuffed animal is Howie here. So I have to wonder, am I actually a dog person by nature, but because of that incident, I don't know. But
It's witnessing that's what gives you the trauma. Being the victim of the trauma sometimes is not as much as the witnessing of it.
yeah,
Yeah, I've noticed that well, I'm not going to go into my combat experience, but yeah, witnessing is definitely more traumatic.
yes.
Um, this was at least 8 or 9 years ago. You did an episode completely nude, and YouTube has not taken it down to this day. It's still on. In fact, people can go
Yes.
search on it right now. Do you regret it? Do you ever
Oh,
want to take
hell
it off?
no. I have
Yeah.
absolutely no shame whatsoever. Now, see, the thing is that it was a challenge from Goth at Funk, right? Where he had this whole thing where it was like, here's like, I think it was every week, or maybe it was once a day for a week, where he said, do a video like this, do a video like that, do a video about this, do a video about that. And he said, okay, in this one, do a video completely naked. Now, nobody else showed that they were completely naked. They would film from here up, and that was it, right? But I started the video standing sideways,
Yep, you
and
sure
I
did.
did that and sat down. And yeah, now I'm from here up, but I'm butt naked.
And I
So,
know, I may or may not know that if you pause the video 3 seconds in, you will see.
will you? Okay.
um, okay. Did you say you only got your yellow belt in karate?
Hi, yellow belt, and it was Taekwondo.
All right. So, but you do talk about your martial arts experience a lot in your
Do I?
videos.
I don't
Well,
remember the last
maybe
time I
not
spoke
so
about
much a
it at
lot.
all.
Well, I'm a huge fan, so I did see
Okay.
it quite a bit.
I mean, I know
So,
at one point I did a video
yeah,
where I had the outfit on.
yeah, I don't even remember that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So that's not as big. That's not as like deep seated as I thought it
No.
was.
No.
Okay. All right. All right. Um board games. Oh, so okay. We're going to go ahead and put a bow tie on all this.
Okay.
If my minimum requirements I think have been met. So we have agreed tonight. You have made concessions, Steve has made concessions.
Has he?
Yeah, he made 3, 4, and I can list them
What
off
has
for
he
you.
said?
Okay. He said he could have changed the way he handled the thing with your epileptic seizure differently. He says he could have worded a few of the things he said in public on a live chat and a live stream and G plus differently. He says that if we could rewind the tape, that he would have basically he would have reworded a few of the things he said. You have made some concessions that the name calling you understand to be wrong. So bottom line is, you would correct me if I'm wrong. You would love to come back on a show under a clean slate. Hope here's my idea. Come back on for something that you mostly agree with, and then have maybe a third party or a panel where you can both you form a team and form some sort of bond with each other. that's maybe where we can start back up.
I mean, I guess I can try it. I'm still in that mode where I kind of want him to maintain minimum safe distance, but I might be willing to try it. I don't know, with trepidation. Let's just say that much.
Okay. I'll take it. I'll take that. Do you have any plugs, upcoming events?
Oh, there was
Uh,
something you were going to talk
I have
about.
one more thing I also wanted to talk about too. Yeah, I
Yes.
just remembered.
Yes.
What do you have?
Well, I think it's the thing you were going to talk about is my epilepsy maybe being solved because on September.
That's right. Yes, you have an
Yes.
upcoming surgery. They're going to
Yes.
quote unquote poke into your head meat a little bit.
Yes, and on September
so you
27th.
You guys see my bottle opener is very. My brother went to Vietnam for vacation, and there's my bottle opener.
It doesn't look like anything suggestive at all.
No, not a bit. Okay,
So, September 27th, they will be in there with a 5mm needle that will then use lasers to cauterize the hole in my brain that fills up with the fluid that when my veins clench, floods me. And excuse me, that's what causes the seizure. So
how
they're
scared are you?
Well, okay, when they gave me the date, I was like, oh, fuck, shit's getting real. And I shook for a little while. But because the possibility of surgery has been maybe not quite a year, but it's been most of one, it gets to that point where you just want it over, right? And there's a lot of things I've put on hold because I didn't know when the surgery was going to happen. Like I want to visit my friends up in Seattle again. It's been almost 2 years. I haven't seen them. Right. And there's a couple that I really dearly miss. So I've been putting that on hold just because I didn't know when was available. There's a few other things. So now that I know, I can start planning for shit again. But also, okay, have you ever seen a movie called Clockwise with John Cleese in it?
If it's got John Cleese in it, I'm sure I've seen it, but the name doesn't jump at me.
He's like a school teacher, sort of a very officious, pedantic, by the rules.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, because he's trying to get home for some holiday or other, and he's got one of his students is hitching a lift with him. And everything that can possibly go wrong has gone wrong. Car breaks down. He loses his clothes somehow, all this shit. And at one point, he's sitting in the road and he's going, it's not the despair. I can take the despair. It's the hope, right? And I can totally relate to what he's saying. And it feels like that with the surgery in a weird way. Because I've been waiting and waiting and goddamn waiting. And now finally I know when it's going to happen. Now you ask how scared I am. Ask me when we're closer to the day, because
it's happening within the next week, right? You're about to go under the knife,
September 27th.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. That's right. It's 2 days before my Richard Carrier interview. Shameless plug.
That's
September
something
29th.
I've noticed. Like people are doing so many interviews on their channels now. It's become like the thing, the trend.
I know. I like in studio, but there's only so many atheists that live within driving distance of me, and God bless. Yeah, I say that. I say that, with tongue in cheek, but God bless Aaron Ra for driving in the rain on his motorcycle to come to our studio, and guys, Seth Andrews, Matt Dillhoney, just being in North Texas is really, and here I go again. It's a godsend because we have so many great atheists just in this area. It's an abundance of riches.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not sure who I'd interview if I had the choice. Also, I'm not really sure, not so much how to set up an interview, not the scheduling, but because of my video making style, where I basically debunk the heck out of a religious video. If I had another atheist on my channel, I don't know what we'd talk about. I mean, I could go over their personal history with atheism, I guess. I could go over their philosophy. I don't know. I don't know what I'd talk to them about. It's just not my style.
Southern California, there's got to be 1 million around there, and even then, you got all the theists too. We've had Hugh Ross, we've had some really prominent theists on our channel as well.
Well, what I'm thinking, if I ever get to American Atheists again, and someone has been paying my way the few times I've gone, like for a while I was just dead broke. And now, because of people who've been very generous on Patreon, I can actually sock away some money at the end of every month. And now I have a bank account. But because I was broke for so damn long, I keep thinking I'm still broke, right? So I could probably pay my way to American Atheists. I just keep forgetting I can.
You
So
were at
it's
the one in Oklahoma just recently?
no, no,
Okay.
I've missed 2 years worth now.
It's literally
So
only three hours away from me. And TJ and I were thinking about going, but it was the same week that Faithless Forum in Dallas was going. So we had to make a decision. And I think we made the right decision because Faithless Forum, it was the debut. It was last April and it was great. It was Thomas Westbrook, Godless Engineer, Genetically Modified Skeptic,
I kind
Caitlin
of want to
Chloe.
go to that, but like I said, I
Oh,
forgot that I had the money for it. And when
yeah.
you said TJ, do you mean TJ Kirk?
Oh, I'm sorry. There's so many TJs in the atheist community
Okay.
now. No, TJ Tuttle. That he's one of our. He used to be one of our main co-hosts. Right now, it's just me and Courtney. And Courtney is spending a lot of her time right now within our channel doing the women. Go ahead and plug it now. Women of Deconversion. It's on the Secular Hangouts channel, and it's criminally unsubscribed. So go to Secular Hangouts and you can see they've done 4 so far. They were going to do one tonight before this episode. Shannon Q is one of the women on there now.
I like her.
Yeah, she's awesome. She had a family emergency, so they had to go ahead and cancel.
Yes.
But yeah, so they meet the first Monday of every month. That evening, I'll throw it out on my channel. But yeah, it's awesome. They talk about sex education, bodily autonomy, and just how they came out as atheists. It's great.
I don't know if this is even appropriate, but because I'm not going to go into details, but Shannon, condolences. If you're watching this, if you're going to watch this, I don't know, but that sucks. So I'm sorry that happened to you, to your family. Anyway, just go in there.
Shannon Q.
Yeah.
Oh,
She had that family emergency, right?
Yeah, I didn't want to like even make
No,
the
I
details
just
public, but
no, I wasn't gonna.
yeah,
I just want to express
it's
that.
a really sad situation, and
yeah.
you will let her get it out. But yeah, it's devastating, and we're all there for her. And it sucks as an atheist when someone, maybe loses a family member or whatnot, and we just don't have the words that the Christians do we?
There is that. Yeah. I mean, condolences is usually the best I can do.
Yeah. Or can I come over to your house and make you some food?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know
well,
what.
And I mean, you were talking about the ladies of deconversion, right?
Right.
That's one way in the atheist community that I feel left out, because I've been an atheist my whole life. I never felt any pressure from my parents. Hell, I converted my dad to atheism. Right. So I hear all these horror stories people have, and it seems like they sort of form this community of people who have to recover from theism, from theistic parents. And I'm like, yeah, I tried to use the Force once. It didn't work. I'm an atheist. So I don't know. It's weird. I feel left out. It's kind of like, and I said this before, and I feel like I'm tempting fate, but in my entire life, I've never gotten a dick pic. So, it's like I hear about that shit, and I'm like, what am I, immune? I have shields. What's going on here? So
They would love to have you. In fact, I'll work with you offline, and that would be a huge win-win for them because they, like I said, they're criminally undersubscribed. If someone like you and Shannon Q would bring them up to where they belong.
Okay.
And it'd be a fun time. So it's the first Monday of every month, and
Sure.
I'm going to get you in touch with them.
If I can have a relevant topic that I can talk about, because hey, we deconverted.
No. That was just the first episode, and then they went on. Their episode on sexual education was just eye-opening as hell. It was, I was the production manager behind the scenes trying to keep everything rolling, and I was just enthralled by what they were saying. It's really good content.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, there was one other thing you wanted to talk about.
Board games.
There was.
Martial arts, epilepsy. Oh, well, I don't know if I was going to bring this up, but you've been publicly stating that you've having some bad luck on dating websites.
No, that wasn't it.
No? Okay.
No, you wanted me to do tips and tricks for
Oh,
newcomers.
shit. Okay. Up and comers like me, little fish, guys with less than 10,000 subscribers.
Okay.
What would you, as a and I'm going to stress this, and I'm being sincere. I'm not blowing smoke up your skirt on this one. You, as a true pioneer of the art form, what tips and tricks and hints and advice would you give to anyone listening right now that is either in it like us for less than 2 years, or someone that's just thinking about doing it? What would you give us?
Well, there's one or two just little, like, well, okay, for me, they're pet peeves, but I did do like a year and a half of film school and I'm an animator, so you kind of got to know this shit. But one habit that people do when they're newbies that pisses me right the fuck off, and it probably pisses off a lot of people too, do not center your face in the screen, in the shot. You have all this negative space up here. Don't do it. Fill the screen with your head at the top of the screen. Do that. That is good filmmaking technique. Seriously. Another thing.
How's that?
There you go. If you're doing a debunking video and you want to ask like a rhetorical question or something, or you're just asking questions in general, don't sound like you're doing it, right? Don't go, is that what you really mean? Go, is that what you really mean? Right? It's confidence. You project confidence. You don't sound like, well, I don't know. You don't sound wimpy or whatever. It helps. It really does. So there's little things like that. I could do like editing techniques as well. I mean, because try to not ramble. I've had people tell me they don't know my videos are scripted. They're scripted to a T, right? But
you go off script every once in a while. No, you stay right on script.
No, yes, I do. But because I can deliver the lines, so it sounds like I'm just speaking off the cuff, or it feels natural. But at the same time, I don't have a lot of and in what I'm saying, because those pregnant pauses are also death for getting your message across. It's one of the reasons I actually don't like doing live hangouts, is because I haven't scripted it out. I don't have my thoughts out there. I don't have my ducks in a row. And so sometimes I find myself without knowing quite what to say. And sometimes things come out wrong. And sometimes I start saying, and I don't feel like I'm doing it right.
Everything you do is pre-recorded though, so you can edit all that out.
Well, I don't edit it out. What I do is I do multiple takes, right? And I also, I try to keep the script in such a way where I only say 2 or 3 sentences and then cut. And then another 2 or 3 sentences and cut. That sort of thing. And so that keeps the pace up. It makes sure that if I fuck up and say a word the wrong way, I can redo it. All because, like, I've actually put out Bionic bloopers videos where you can see some of the ways that I messed up horribly, and it can be funny. And again, like I said, I have no shame. I have no goddamn shame. I will put out my mistakes for people to see, right? And that, I think, also helps people get to know you a bit. They realize that I'm not perfect. Not that they didn't already know that.
Well, they see the progress that you've made over the years.
Yeah.
That's why I refuse to delete my video that I took a shit. Godless Engineer and I are like fucking friends now, and I'm gonna keep that video of me taking a huge dump on him.
Okay, sure. No, I get it. I get it. One other thing, all right? You takes your phone, you turns it like this, all right?
Yes. Landscape, not portrait.
Yes.
Landscape, not portrait.
Well, I mean, landscape widescreen, I call it. I mean, you're making a movie here.
And HD.
The sheer number of videos I've seen where there was like an emergency or the cops were misbehaving or something, and you've got it like this and it's shaking around and you can't tell what the fuck's happening. I'm like, guys. Oh, and don't film in your car. No car. Okay. Yeah. The number of times I've been like, oh my gosh, here's another car theist. Don't do it. I want to know what motivates people to film in their car. I don't understand that shit.
Yeah, Matt Dillahunty is probably a very busy human being, he does some of his car, theist and non-theist. It's rampant now. You're right.
I mean, it's
Hey.
mostly theists. We call them car theists. I think I made up that word. I'm not sure. But I'd have to go back and look. But yeah, we get way too much of that shit.
And if you are filming, if you're starting out and you're filming on your smartphone, another thing that I learned from Holy Kool-Aid, Thomas Westbrook, and I learned the hard way because I had 5 really good interviews at Faithless Forum, and they had a lot of crackling and bad audio. He said, number one, audio is way more important than video. The first thing that someone's going to check that's going to keep them on your video is good audio. If you got good audio and shitty video, they're going to stay on your video. But if it's the other way around, they're going to break contact immediately.
Oh, the number of videos where someone is like it's an artificial voice where they've fed text into
fuck that,
and they sound like Stephen Hawking. I'm like, dude.
Yeah, you're done. Yeah. I think, and the second thing he said, if you are starting out and using your iPhone, which is great pixel quality, I'm not knocking iPhones, but put it on airplane mode. If you put it on airplane mode, it has no connection to Wi-Fi, no connection to internet whatsoever. It's going to totally decrease your chances of getting crackling and audio disruption.
I mean, I've never filmed on my phone unless I'm outside. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. Who knew?
Oh, shit. I think we are at a stopping point.
I think you're right.
And babies and rocks are not atheists, Kate.
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
The number of gods they believe in is 0.
Guess what?
Chicken butt?
We're going to shake hands at the end of this and see we disagree. That's how that works. Steve, if you're still watching, we disagree and we're going to fucking end this on that note. And that's how that works. And I'm going to have you back on my show. And I'm going to get you in touch with the women of deconversion, and we're going to do that too.
Sounds good.
All right. Do you have any final plugs, shout outs, upcoming events, a website, anything you want to plug?
I just want to say that on the whole rocks and babies thing, I'm right. But other than that, no. Kidding. Come on. No, I don't really have anything coming up. No, I mean, most of what I do is on the fly. Like I wake up and go, today's a video day. Let's see how someone's been stupid. So I don't really have events. No. Oh, wait a minute. No, I take that back. I'm going to have to look and see who the hell it is because I forget. But I do have a stream coming up on Sunday. When I go digging for it, I'll let people know on Facebook, and I might make a video to advertise it, but I am doing someone's stream on Sunday. So if you're watching, sorry, my memory, I've mentioned this before with my memory, is names and faces and sometimes words and definitions get disconnected, so I have to look them up.
I had the similar issue. It's called prosopagnia, and who is the lead character in the Pirates of the Caribbean? Is that Johnny Depp?
Yeah.
Johnny Depp has the same. He cannot. It takes me at least 5 or 6 times to meet someone before I can put a name to a face. Well, it's an actual condition.
Well, I don't know, like what your excuse is other than this condition. The hole in my brain is in the language center. That's my excuse. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so no, I don't have events coming up. Sorry, except for that stream.
Okay. We are, of course, Richard Carrier on 29 September. That's the big live interview. Every first Monday, the first Monday of every month is the Women of Deconversion. And be looking for, we've got a continuing episodes. Part 2 of the Book of Job interview will be put out about Monday or Tuesday, probably Monday. We had an apologist in studio. And it's going to turn out to be about a 5 or 6 part interview with him. He's a well-trained Christian apologist. And all we talk about is the Book of Job and the problem of evil and the problem of suffering. So that's going to be fun. So that's what we got. All right. So Kate Farr.
I'm very curious to watch this with the stream on and see what the hell was said. But anyway.
I'm going to go back and re-edit this to where I take that the fuck up that we did before the restart. I'm going to add it to this. I'm going to add some shit.
I meant the chat though. I want to see what yes.
So you are going to go watch the chat.
Well, yeah, I just didn't want it to disrupt the actual interview.
You're not going to like it.
Yeah,
No, it's mostly Steve's fans. You're not
Oh,
gonna like it. I would almost suggest not doing it.
all right.
But you have some really valid points. I think we came to at least a minimal, my minimal acceptable requirements for ending this show. And if Steve's watching, I think this was billed as an amicable resolution, and I think we held true to that. What's the last thing? Oh, and anything you forgot to say, put it in the comment of this video and I will pin it to the top.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you.
Don't be a stranger, and let's have you back.
Okay. Absolutely.
All right. Take care now.